What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chec Box. You already know who it is. It's your boy Chec, and alongside me is my guy Ken. Ken, what up, baby?
What up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, chilling. About to get this episode rolling.
Yes, sir. Happy
Pretty good.
Wednesday.
Yeah, man. Happy
Mhm.
Wednesday. Pretty good topic ahead of us.
Yeah. Great topic.
Yeah,
As
man.
usual.
Yeah, as usual. Y'all know what it is, guys. And before we delve into this episode, I just want to remind everybody. Well, first off, welcome back to all of the listeners that have been listening to us for the past, I don't even know, 3 years.
I can't believe that. 3 years.
I
already.
know, right?
Wow.
And for the newcomers, welcome to the Chec Box. I'm Chec, as I mentioned, and my other host is Ken, man. Ken,
What's up?
chilling, my brother, chilling, man. I think it's about time we get this show on the road. And today we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
upbringing, guys. You know, like, how were you raised? Does that have an effect? Were you born this way? Were you
Mhm.
created? You know,
Yeah.
like, and what effect does it really have on
Yeah.
life?
Who
You know,
are, what you become.
or rather, what has effect on your upbringing?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man, and you know, we always go by a couple of bullet points, guys. And the first one we got today, and Kenneth made this a great point earlier when we were talking about the episode, is nature versus nurture, man. You know, like, are these successful people, or not even successful people, I would just say people in general, are they born the way that they become, or do they become the way that they are
Yeah.
throughout their way based on their
Yeah.
upbringing?
I think it's it's a mix of both as usual. It's a really nuanced question. It's a really nuanced conversation in general. I think nature has a very, I think nature matters a whole lot, and I think nurture matters a whole lot. But I think people are, by a certain age, they are who they are in terms of, I guess, their personality traits and everything like that. And anything that they want to change, they have to try very hard to do so.
Right, especially at a certain point in their life.
Especially as an adult or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much of that makes you who you are is, again, it's up for debate. I think personally, though, I will take a stand here. I would say that it is a lot of who you are has to do mostly, I would say, with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you were born. You know, your disposition as a person.
Right. I mean, I definitely got to agree with you on that, man. You know, I do believe that your nature has a lot to do with the way you are, right? Someone who's raised in the South Bronx is going to be very different from someone raised in Scarsdale, New York.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just location. I mean, we don't even want to get into the finances and the family members and situations that the family members are in, et cetera, et cetera. You know, this question, it's a tough question. It's not a tough question, but it's a lot of opinions, and it's extremely
multifaceted. It's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's there is a lot to it, man. But I do think to some extent, you know, people are made the way they are, though, based off of just everything they go through in life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know for me, man, when I was 15, Ken, I did not think I would be who I am right now at 26.
No,
right?
I don't think any of us did.
I think we all had the same thought when we all wanted children at 25 years old, because we thought that was fucking.
I didn't even.
Nah, you didn't.
I didn't even think about kids when I was 15.
Yo, bro, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what was making me think that way.
Yeah.
You know,
I think 25 was such an abstract concept. You know, it's like, who did we know? Like, I think when we were 15, it was like, who was 25? Not even A$AP Rocky. You know, the artists that we listened to.
Not even Drake, to be honest.
Drake was 25 when we were 15. So it's like, you know, and they all seem grown as fuck to us. You know what I mean? Doing their own thing, living the lifestyle that they want.
Type shit.
You know, doing whatever the hell it is that they wanted. So we're like,
I mean,
can only imagine 25, right?
Right. I mean, no funny shit. Let's talk about Drake for a second, right? And just about this topic of upbringing, right? We all know Drake to be Jimmy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah,
on Degrassi.
Jimmy, yeah.
I think at this point through his music, we can all understand that he didn't really grow up super broke.
No.
He's been on the TV screen since what? He was maybe like 15.
Yeah.
His dad was an R&B artist as well.
Which I didn't know that. But
yeah. His pops is actually pretty known in the industry.
Go figure.
Right. Exactly. And then his mom owned a flower shop.
Yeah.
To our knowledge, and I only say our because we've all listened to the same motherfucking Drake songs.
Yeah.
But you know, Drake also wrote a post not too long ago how he would rent out Bentleys and drive through the nice neighborhoods and you know, drop his boys off in these fucking cul-de-sacs.
Right.
Because he was essentially preparing himself for where he's at now.
Right. Which is, that's an expensive preparation to have. I think,
absolutely, man. I mean,
if that's what you want, if you can, you know, first of all, if you have the money to do that, okay.
Right.
But if you're doing that level of visualization, That's another, I gotta commend that.
Listen, the fact that he could spend $5,000 for 3 days for a Rolex. I mean, Rolex, you hear me, a Rolls Royce. Like, I know I can't do that. And my upbringing ain't allowing me to do some shit like that, Drake. I'm sorry.
That ain't in my nature.
At all. That's in none of our natures, bro, at this point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna lie. Like, when I do go on vacations, I like to rent the nice cars and visualize the lifestyle that I want to live in.
Yeah, but like, a nice car Mustang.
Right. Nah, listen, if I get the Rolls Royce, man, I'll get the Rolls Royce.
You get robbed at the stoplight, maybe.
Fuck out of here, man. Go wherever I go. Let me stop. But just to bring it back around, Drake clearly wasn't brought up that way. You know what I'm saying? He molded that, you know? And
that I think that's a lot to do with disposition. Like him being who he is, that's what he wanted, so he manifested it.
Right.
And I think in that aspect, it's like, I think the nurture, it nurtures your attitudes. But it molds somewhat, like it can either compress or express who you are. Does that make sense? Who you really are.
Break it down a little bit.
So like what you're told as a kid can either encourage you, or it can discourage you from doing whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You may naturally want to be, I don't know, a writer or something, or a scientist or whatever, but your parents may tell you
astronaut,
a
doctor,
right? And you may actually have the aptitude to do that. You may be able to actually do that, but your parents might tell you, and this is where the nurture. They might, they might instill some sort of value, like, you'll never be that good, or the only way forward is to, you have to get into, you have to go to college or whatever. Mm-hmm. You have to become an investment banker.
Trying
something,
to set this
something
template
ridiculous.
For your life,
right? And so I think depending on the level, how much of that you actually end up believing and enacting is where I think that's where the nurture matters.
Absolutely.
That's where the nurture comes in.
No, I'm going to have to agree with you, Ken. And that's actually a perfect segue to our next bullet point, which is, what in your childhood mattered the most and what really mattered the least. That essentially created who you are today, And
what do you think?
Listen, I know for me, in my childhood, like, some that mattered the least was definitely money, bro. And that's just because there wasn't an abundance of it, Not that it mattered I don't even know how to explain this. I guess because it mattered the most, it didn't really matter that much.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
The reason why I say that is because, me, these struggles that I went through as a kid. And for those who don't know, I grew up struggling, regular shit, projects, parents struggling, living check by check, making the sacrifices to put clothes on my sister and I back, missing meals. Sometimes it is what it is, or, whatever the case may be. But I think because of that, is why I am the way I am now. You know what I'm saying? That mattered the most to me at that point.
So
like,
you would say like the lack of resources.
The lack of resources, yeah.
Making do with, less, but still being able to, still having your family somewhat together.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And
your family somewhat, making it work.
Right. And because of that, I feel like that played a very big role in my upbringing, because I feel like if I would have grew up with money, man, I wouldn't be probably as motivated as I am right now, bro, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know the value of a dollar. I would consider myself a person who does know the value of a dollar because of the lack of growing up.
Right.
And shit's just crazy though. Like something like that really didn't matter to me as a kid.
Right.
But seeing that I didn't have it, it matters to me more now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
No, I did. Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't making sense for a second, but yeah, man. And what about you, bro? What do you think mattered least, or even most to you? That essentially has molded who Mr. Clarkson is today.
Who I am as a person. I would say what mattered the least. See, like I feel like I've always sort of been the same person I've been since I was a youngin', right? Like I feel like dispositionally I've always been the same kind of person, and so it's hard to say. Like I feel like I've always just done, I guess you could say, like my own thing growing up.
Okay.
Like what my parents told me, like a lot of the things that parents I feel like have to tell their kids, I kind of just already instinctually understood.
Oh, okay. So you saying you were smarter than everyone at your age?
I wouldn't say smarter than everyone. No, but I'm saying it's like I've always understood like consequences were real.
Okay.
My parents didn't necessarily have to show me that. That's something, but it is something that they showed me, but they didn't like if I were for example, like the threats that my parents would always give me about misbehaving or whatever, those were things I just inherently always understood.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like even if I didn't listen to those things, like my parents would have been in a lot of trouble because I feel like they didn't parent really, they didn't really parent in a tough way. I feel like they just got lucky with me because I always just did what they said.
Oh, okay.
Because I always understood what the consequences were if I didn't.
That
extended beyond getting in trouble with them.
Got you. Yeah, my ass, I didn't really understand what was good and bad.
That comes with being a kid.
Yeah.
Like that comes with being an adventurous person, being an adventurous kid.
Yeah, and them ass whoopings definitely sent me straight. I ain't gonna lie. Mom, Dad, I love y'all, man. But you know what I'm saying? I just gotta, listen, they ain't abused me, but when I needed an ass whooping, I needed an ass whooping. And that was a lot of times, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Sometimes kids need it.
Absolutely, man. And one thing that does come with upbringing, bro, is your environment and your family.
Yeah, environment.
You know what I'm saying? And now, personally, Kenneth,
Yep.
what do you think has a greater influence on someone's upbringing, character, however you want to say it, when it comes to their environment or their family?
Yeah, well, when you're considering just environment or family, I think it has a lot to do with. It's gonna sound kind of strange or contradictory, but it's whoever you spend the most time with. So
Okay.
if let's say you're going through the traditional American public school system, the only time you spend time with your parents is like after work when they come home from work. After for you it's after 3:00. Assuming your parents, assuming your mom, let's say you're a city kid or something like that, you walk home. So
for the most part,
you walk home, right? So. You may not go home immediately after school. So let's start like the timeline from the beginning. So it's like your parent, you wake up, you either walk to school with your parents or whatever, or
they drop you off some shit, right,
or you take the bus. So you are now in an environment. You're in a public schooling environment, for whatever that's worth, whether it's Scarsdale or whether it's the South Bronx, right? Like you're there from.
I would just say school, not even public or Catholic, or you want to differentiate the two.
No. The schooling. I'm just taking public school as an example.
Got you.
You're there from 8 a.m. to basically 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even including after school activities, assuming you're doing any of that stuff.
Right.
So you can spend it basically like 10 hours of your entire day being awake at school,
right.
conscious
8
of
to
school.
10 roughly,
right? Yeah. Or 8 to 6.
No, I'm saying 8 to 10 hours.
Sorry. No, you're right. Sorry, yeah. No, you're right. So you're there all the time, and then you come home and you spend what? You eat dinner with your parents, maybe? Maybe you don't. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right. No.
So
I get you.
If you're on that type of schedule for like 10 years, you're going to be with your friends in the streets, whatever, most of the time. Like most of your child life, you're not even spending it with your parents.
Because you are at school 5 days a week. God willing. Right. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, right. Versus if you're homeschooled by your parents, you know what I'm saying? You develop something differently.
And your environment is your crib,
Your environment is your house. So in short, I think the greatest influence is whoever you spend the most time around, whether it's your family or whether it's the outside environment of your family.
Okay. Now, devil's advocate here, right? A lot of, I grew up in the public school system. For the majority of my life, I went to public school from 1 to 5, Catholic 6 to 9, and then back to public 10 to 12. A lot of people would argue that kids or just people are the way they are because of their parents, because of their family, because their parents allowed them to do certain things, hypothetically, right? You send your kid to school for 8 hours a day, they're acting a fool.
Yeah.
And then
an
absolute fool, but that's something you allow them to do in the household.
Yeah.
So now that becomes an issue of, this is what happens in your house. So now it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like the family might have a greater influence to some extent. I agree with you, based off of the environment, because, you see it I saw it every day. I was in public school with these little motherfucking crazy ass kids, man. But then my thought was, what are their parents teaching them at home?
Right.
You feel me? Because I'm not thinking as a kid like, we spend 10 hours a day here. You're with your parents probably 5 because you're asleep for the rest of the fucking 10. Right.
No, you're just thinking, You're not considering these factors.
I'm not considering these factors at 7 years old.
No, definitely not.
9, 10 years old. Now that I'm older, it's a bit different, right? But I don't know, bro. I feel like, family got a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, no, a big amount.
But you make a phenomenal point in the sense of who you're around most of the time because, at least for me, I was around a lot of a lot of family members and a lot of baseball players, bro. A lot of baseball teammates, because I was just always on the field. But I was also around my dad a lot. You know what I'm saying? I was also around my mother in an equal amount of time, as well as my sister. Not really my sister though, because my sister was always out hanging out. So it kind of makes sense now. Now that I'm really thinking about it, right? Like, my sister and I, we're not two completely different people, but we are very different people.
Very different. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And everything.
And I think had we hung out more when I was a kid, maybe her and I would have a lot of similarities in some sense.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. If in my personal experience, I believe if my parents didn't raise me the way that they raised me, bro, I would have been a corrupted child.
No, yeah.
You know,
but I think
they had a greater. I think personally for me, they had a greater influence on me than my environment, and that's because
because they took the interest to actually be a molder of you and
exactly.
Your sister,
and you know, I welcomed that, even though I had no choice. I was a fucking kid, right? I'm gonna, you know, we absorb.
No, fuck you, dad. Like,
right, exactly. No, kids do that though, Ken. Kids do that. We can't, you know. But
that's
I feel like
parents let them.
Exactly.
So
there we go. That's my point, right? So, and I also think because of the lifestyle my parents lived growing up, they told me about the environment before I was even out there.
Right.
Which kind of instilled me with this, not fear.
No, but like
caution. A caution. Yeah, like caution to like, all right, let me stay away from these type of people.
I don't want to be around crack fiends or nothing like that.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Let me not be around these type of kids who fucking look this way because you, bro. Now by looking, I mean just like
no. You can
crazy looking motherfuckers, bro.
We all know
you know,
like, you can notice. You notice that as a kid, really. You notice that the most as a kid.
You notice dusty clothes. You notice when kids fucking hair ain't clean. When they're wearing the same thing, and kids have no filter too, so they'll sit here and fucking cut ass all day and not even understand what they're saying.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, Mo, I just think that's a great point you bring up, bro, because to me, I feel like my family had a greater influence in the environment. So it's kind of cool how we kind of like both have this different experience, and we're also two different people. You're still this nonchalant, laid back person. Meanwhile, I'm like the you know what I'm saying? I'm the
type A.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Alpha male.
But yeah, man, no, I think that's a great point, bro. Yeah. That's a good. Do you feel like your family had an influence on you more than your? Do you feel like your environment had more of an influence on you than your parents or family? Excuse me.
My family. I think my family had a. I think who I was at home with definitely had a much bigger effect on who I was and what I thought about things and how I went about things and ideas. But you know, like again, like I'm. Not to say I'm built different, but like I'm very different than everybody else in my family.
He built different. Don't let the nigga fool you.
No, I mean it's just like, you know, I think about things differently than the rest of my family. Like I'm not as easily influenced from outside. Everyone's influenced by outside ideas and outside environments and stuff like that. It's just to say like the things that I have always thought there was hardly anybody who was like, you know, you have to think this way, or, you know, you have to think this way or whatever. You know, my parents were sort of always like, you know, here are the rules or whatever, but, you know, like, you're free to think whatever, you're free to do, essentially do whatever within reason. And that's the way that it's, for me growing up. That's, like, I grew up in the public school system, too, like, all the way until middle school.
You went to schools in the Bronx or Mount Vernon?
It was Mount Vernon. So, okay. You know, but the public school in my area was, my local public school was, the environment for me in that sense was the kids were like, it was very working class immigrant kids. Okay. So those kids sort of grow up, you know, it's very like, they're very close knit. You know, it's like, you're Brazilian, I'm Brazilian, let's hang out together. You know, all the families, because all the families know each other. It's all very trusting environment. Versus, I feel like in a city, it's much different. In a city, it's like no one, like you could be going to school with somebody who literally lives 20 blocks away from you or whatever in a completely different part of the Bronx. Versus my public school was sectioned off to where it was only people within maybe
the area,
literally within the area. Like I lived, you know, one of my best friends, you know, at Lincoln, he lived across the street.
Nice.
You know, within walking distance. I lived also within walking distance. I just lived, you know, a little further down the street.
Yours was up down the block, right?
Down the block, yeah.
Okay, I remember that.
So I think also, so again, going back to the environment, the school environment that you're in and the people who go to that school matter the most too. They matter a lot, because I feel like I was friends with a lot of people whose parents, they did have something to lose. So they, you know, they made obviously kids are going to be kids. Kids are going to act up and stuff like that. But their parents like, listen, we're immigrants. You know what I mean? Like we barely got green cards. Don't fucking get in trouble.
Don't fuck up.
Like exactly. Like I grew up.
Because then you're gonna put us under the spotlight.
Right. Anybody who grew up in Mount Vernon, they know this. Like you know what I mean? Like this, a lot of their parents, they didn't fuck around. Like anytime they got in trouble, it was like, well, you're fucked.
Shit, man. That sounds pretty cool to grow up in, bro.
But it's a smaller. Like I was saying, it's a smaller pool.
It makes sense.
It's a much smaller pool. There's of course, there's immigrants in public schools in the city, New York City, or whatever, Bronx, wherever. It's just to say, but those highly concentrated. So it's like it's immigrants, it's black people, and maybe some white people. That's it. You know what I mean? It's a whole bunch of people.
And the immigrants, for the most part, are just one ethnicity, like either Brazilian, Portuguese.
Brazilian, Portuguese, or Mexican. That's it.
Type shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, I remember every time I used to go over there, nothing but Portuguese and Brazilian flags.
All working class people. Day laborers. They're very serious. But they raise their kids in a way that's like be responsible.
Absolutely.
Because that's another thing too, is they have pride about themselves. They have pride about who they are, where they come from. They may be immigrants, but you best believe that Brazilian flag is going everywhere. It's on every sticker, on every car and everything.
I love that. People are so proud of their culture.
But that's what I grew up around. I grew up around people who were proud of who they were. So I feel like, in a sense, I was almost jealous. In a sense, I was just like, damn, I wish I was as proud as they were.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Nah, that's interesting, bro. I actually low-key never even knew that about you, in the sense of like your school, and I've known this guy for over a fucking decade. I'm just learning this now. I love that. I love that shit, bro. I wish,
because sometimes I forget. I'm so used to it being normal. It's like,
and that shit is,
I just forget,
bro. And that shit is far from normal.
Not at all.
At least.
No, you're right.
And I live. At that point, when you was over there on Summit, I'm still in the same place. That's probably about a mile, maybe 2 miles away.
Yeah,
completely fucking
15-minute drive away, and you go over that Eastchester Bridge, and it's a whole different world.
Literally, bro, completely different ball game, bro. So you said something that kind of struck my ear and made a great point to the last point we're gonna talk about in this podcast. You said how these parents, they actually gave a fuck.
Yeah, no, they had pride about who they were. Yeah.
And so now, I guess the question that arises is, would you consider the students you went to school around having what would be a good upbringing? What is a good upbringing? What is a bad upbringing?
I think it's entirely relative. I mean, obviously, certain upbringings are bad. Like, if your parents are beating your ass with a belt every night. Yeah, that's not a good upbringing.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think some you don't really need to question.
Yeah, those are. But just because you grew up with $1 billion, your parents, you grew up with your parents having $1 billion in the bank doesn't necessarily
mean it's a good upbringing. Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. Right, people are they're gonna see the what's the word I'm looking for. The superficial shit.
Yeah.
Right? The materialistic things. They're going to see that and be like, oh, you grew up good. You grew up having it. You had this car. You had this toy, this and that. That don't mean shit.
It means nothing.
And if you still think that way, please. And I used to be one of those ignorant people.
I mean, because it's normal.
Because I didn't know that.
Yeah, because you don't know the value. Right. Of that stuff,
I didn't know the value
of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People think just because you grew up in a big house with 10,000 fucking cars, 5 acres to play with, you had a good upbringing.
Right.
That don't mean shit.
It means nothing.
That does not mean
means
shit.
You didn't go hungry, really.
Yeah. Listen.
That's all it means.
Which is a very important part. But then you got
but
the
not
bad.
the only thing.
Yeah, exactly. But then we do have the obvious bad upbringings. The parents can be divorced, not together, right? That's tough. They're coming from a broken home. I come from a broken home.
Yeah.
Having a drug addict as a parent, or a parent who is obviously neglectful, right? Because there are parents, bro, who aren't parents, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
But the beauty about some of those things, and we hear it all the time with all of these, successful people in their respective sport or career, that
they find a way,
man.
That's the nature.
That's
the nature, despite the nurture.
Look at that. You see how you just brung all of that shit back around, Kenneth? This is why, my brother. That was well put together, bro. And that's damn. I don't even know what to say after that, bro. But that's a fact, though, man. Some people do, with these bad upbringings, come out very good.
I think what defines a good upbringing, at the very least, is one where this is just me, my personal opinion. I think, as long as you have, you're taught, I guess, decent virtues, and you're taught decent ideas, and you're shown the value of other people. You're shown not only to respect yourself but to respect others, and as long as you're not as long as you're not putting out negativity towards other people in general, because everyone puts out negativity to some degree.
Right.
But, like, as long as you're not putting it out in general to other people, I think, your parents did a good job. Like, as long as you're not dead or in jail, that I think you're fine,
Yeah, no.
Contributing and, to society in a way that, matters,
Nah, I got you, bro. I mean, those are great points, man. And you know what? You're right. I just to piggyback off of what you were saying, I'm having a little brain fart right here. We could just cut this out. I'm trying to think. I ain't gonna front. When I took off the microphone, when I took off the headphones, I was like, yo, this nigga sound mad cool. Like, I was like, oh. What was the last point that you made?
As long as you're not, like, as long as you're contributing something good to society, you probably had a good upbringing, or rather, as long as your parents taught you to be that way,
Yeah, man. There are certain things that do create a good upbringing that are pretty obvious, just like the bad ones, right? And obviously, one of those are manners and respect for people. That's the biggest thing. And Ken, you kind of said something that might trigger some people that are listening. You said parents. Some people don't even have parents that raised them. It might be their grandparents, bro.
Yeah.
Or even a foster parent.
Foster. It's still a parent.
A brother or sister. True. I guess I'm taking it to the literal term as being a biological parent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I think we can all sit and agree, and as long as you have those manners or positive energy, and you don't disrespect people, or you respect people the way you want to be respected, I think we can all agree that that's a good upbringing.
Yeah, as long as your parents taught you that or showed you that.
Right, and obviously a bad upbringing would you be fucking angry at the world and just blaming, not taking accountability, and just being overall a negative person, which I hope none of you are. And if you are, then switch it the fuck up, man.
Yeah,
figure it out.
Figure that out.
Figure it the motherfucker.
Before it figures you out.
There we go, Ken. Listen, man, I think this is a solid little conversation, man. 26 minutes in. I think we made some good points that'll intrigue the listeners to hopefully leave some comments. DM us your thoughts. What do you think is a good or a bad upbringing? How was your upbringing? Do you have things that you can relate to Kenneth or I? And if so, please let us know, man. Ken, you got anything to say, bro?
No, that's it.
Yeah, you good? Hey, listen, you made a lot of great points, bro. Guys, please don't forget to follow us and keep us posted and keep up to date with everything that we're doing on all of our platforms. That is at the Chec Box on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and that's spelled out TheChecBox, guys. And you already know you can follow me at Yo Check It on Instagram, YOCHECIT. Kind of take it away, bro.
Oh, you can. I'm like, what? You can follow me at KJC89KG. Again, that's KJC89KG. That's my weightlifter Instagram. It's the only one I got. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm gonna need you to figure it the fuck out.
I'm not changing it. I'm leaving that.
So those numbers are gonna stay the same even if you go up in weights?
I'm not moving up on a weight class.
Oh, you're gonna stay that weight class?
Yeah,
All right. Well, fun fact, guys, if y'all didn't know, that is how weightlifters identify on this.
That is exactly, all my weightlifters understand. They all understand. Even powerlifters, they do that. So.
Love that, man. Love that, man. Listen, guys, great episode today. Appreciate you listening. Check back with us next week, I would say, in our new episode. And, guys, you already know. Thanks for tuning in. Holla.